The reactions are starting to pour in for Saw X. Are critics and fans stoked about playing yet another game with Jigsaw? Or is the film making them want to leap into a pig corpse grinder? John Kramer is back. Not that he really went anywhere. Even after his death at the end of Saw 3, he's made his presence felt in the sequel since then via flashbacks and recordings. This time, John gets to be the protagonist of his own movie, rather than simply lurking in the background or hiding in plain sight and occasionally sending Billy the puppet in with a message.
I want to play a game.
In Saw X, John Kramer is facing his own imminent mortality due to a dual diagnosis of colon cancer and an inoperable frontal lobe tumor. When he learns that a medical team in Mexico may be able to save him, he opens his wallet and heads below the border for a last chance at life. After supposedly undergoing an operation, he learns that the tumor was never removed and the whole thing was a scam. That's unfortunate for John and for the scammers, who get a special invitation to take part in Jigsaw's games. Slash Film's Jacob Hall gave Saw X a 7 out of 10 rating in his review, praising the special effects team for delivering the premium quality blood and gore that fans have come to expect, and the cast for effectively selling the terror of Jigsaw's torture chamber. He also observed that while casual moviegoers with a strong stomach might get a kick out of Saw X, its key target audience is existing fans. He said, "This is a movie for the dedicated freaks, and on that level, it's a major success." A pioneer of the Gorno subgenre of horror, the Saw franchise is not for everyone. Still, even among us sickos, there is a quality scale when it comes to movies about tearing people limb from limb in sadistic ways. Saw 2 was a worthy follow-up to the original that doubled down on the twisted traps, for example, while Saw 3D was, well, Saw 3D. So far, the consensus among critics for Saw X is that while the movie doesn't entirely reinvent the wheel, it's a very good wheel as far as wheels go. With the first reviews hitting the internet, it currently has a score of 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Telegraph's Robbie Collin writes, "It's undeniably effective, and stripped back to basics. Saw's appeal, if that's the word, is certainly clearer than it's been for a while. The series isn't really horror at all, but a revenge thriller, taken to deliberately appalling test-your-nerve extremes."
And if you can't handle this, how will you handle the rest of our work?
IndieWire praised the movie for shaking things up by having victims who know Jigsaw and refer to him by his real name, along with the twist of John having to improvise and incorporate the fraudster's own medical equipment into their traps. They added that the movie fleshes out John Kramer as an oddly sympathetic character, writing, "You'll feel a quiet impulse to buy horror's most hypocritical maniac a shot of tequila." The Hollywood Reporter praised Bell's turn in the spotlight, writing, "None of this would work nearly as well without Bell, whose raspy voice and menacing gravitas are so riveting that he makes Jigsaw's oft-repeated declaration, 'I'd like to play a game,' scary as hell." However, Total Film was less impressed, describing the lead actor's performance as lackluster and suggesting that, quote, "his killer was better off lurking in the shadows." Thanks to preview screenings, the first fan reactions to Saw X have started trickling onto the franchise's Reddit discussion board. One user praised it as one of the best films since Saw 6, advising that it's a slow burn and will appeal most to fans who are more into the story than the traps, something that the critic reviews have observed as well. Another thing noted by IndieWire's review and echoed in fan discussions is the movie's use of the Mexico filter, a trend in Hollywood cinematography where any scene that takes place in Mexico is bathed in grubby yellow light. One Reddit user wrote, "Saw it in Mexico and everyone laughed at the yellow coloring and some of the Spanish moments. Kind of stereotypical, but what I'd expect out of a Hollywood movie, to be honest. But man, hands down wonderful." Over on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, one user praised the sequel after catching it at Fantastic Fest, writing, "Saw X is the sequel the franchise needed. It goes back to its roots while telling a story that feels unique to the franchise. Having Kramer and Amanda at the forefront of the story makes it more engaging while still delivering on the gore fans adore." Another user wrote, "Saw X is a glorious return to form for the series. Not only are the traps absolute perfection, but we get to see a very different side to John this time around. It's deep, emotional, gory, it feels like OG Saw. Also, Charlie Clouser's score is incredible." It looks like the fans and critics are united on this one. Saw X sounds like a must-watch for fans and those who are willing to brave the bloodbath. Just be warned that Jigsaw's particular brand of justice might put you off your popcorn.